The 2.8 mountain frame of 1995 came in a number of exciting colors. Last week's Mako Blue Metallic on the M500. There was also the poetically dubbed Diamond Black Metallic with Blue Pearl Hyper Highlight and Violet Pearl Hyper Highlight of the M2000. Then there is the beautiful purple M900 in its Black Metallic with Violet Pearl Hyper Highlight. That is not at all on my bucket list. And lastly, there was the Iceland Green Metallic with Green Pearl Hyper Highlight on the M500. I got mine in early 23, and shortly after I stripped it down and gave it a good service before I rebuilt it with Billy Bonkers tires and a few other updates and replacement parts. Then 1 year ago, in the last video on this bike, we took that first build and upgraded it again. That time it got a newly laced wheel set with XT hubs, XT derailleur and XT canties. And in the spirit of you're never quite done with your build, I've made more changes to it since then. In theory, 0.05 inches wider than the Billy Bonkers, the more slick looking Maxxis DTH are actually slightly slimmer when mounted to the same rim. I also made changes to the cockpit, where I fitted Ritchie bars and stem. Why? Did the geometry need some dialing in? No, I mean, the bars are 2 centimeters wider, but I'd be lying if I said that was the reason. They also didn't make the bike any lighter. So in all honesty, I really just did it for the flex of having Ritchie parts on there. But anyway, this is where we're picking up today. One of the basic rules of customizing is that red parts immediately make your bike 10% more awesome. And I actually have a graph to back this up, so, you know, it's science. But you still don't believe me? Well, a certain sports car manufacturer from Stuttgart-Zuffenhausen certainly agrees. Their turbo performance models come with bright red brake calipers. So today I'm going to turn my 95 M500 into an M500 Turbo. And not only are we throwing a bunch of red parts on it, we are also mounting a first prototype of our brand new narrow white chainring that will be available soon. So why don't we start by checking that out first. If you don't know what a narrow white chainring is, let me explain. If you look at a chain from the top, you will notice that the little gaps where the teeth of the chainring slide in are not all the same. In fact, they alternate between a larger and a smaller gap. To optimize how the chain sits on a chainring, a narrow white chainring also has a bigger and smaller teeth that perfectly slot into these different gap sizes. As a result, the chain sits on a chainring even better and the risk of the chain falling off is reduced. So why would you ever use anything else, you may ask then? And the answer is simply that there isn't much of a choice of chainrings out there that fit the old 94 or 110mm BCD of vintage mountain bike cranks, and that are at the same time large enough, so upwards of 40 teeth, that they provide a reasonable gear range on old 7 or 8 speed cassettes. And so we've teamed up with our supplier to create this, the Bottoncino Original Chainring, that is now available for pre-order on their website. The first batch of chainrings will be ready in the beginning of March. Naturally, the first Bottoncino OG Big Boys will go out to those that have put in a pre-order. And if there are any left over from that first batch, they will be available through the shop like any other part. So if you want to make sure that you are among the first to get your hands on one of these, you'll find the pre-order link in the video description. And by scanning this QR code, you will get straight to our shop's main page to browse through all available bikes and parts. But before we can put new parts on here, we need to take a few of them off. Okay, I think that's it. All the parts that will be replaced are removed, which means we can look after and clean those components next. So this saddle is kind of what started this whole build idea. It's a special edition of the Selle Italia X3, a red edition from 2018 that I had never seen before. And so without knowing what build I was going to use it for, I just had to buy it. I talked in the past about the fact that I don't do a huge amount of color matching, And that's simply because I just really dislike when colors don't perfectly match. Like when you try and introduce an accent color to a build and you have a bunch of, I don't know, red parts on it and they all just look a little bit different, all have slight different shades of red. It's something that it just bothers me. So you can imagine how exciting it must be for me to have a bunch of different parts from different brands even, and their colors just match absolutely perfectly. So we have a set of Shimano DX V-brakes with an awesome supple lever feel, let me tell you. And they're also a very rare case of Shimano making any colored parts. Then we have a matching set of Ritchie clipless pedals to match our Ritchie cockpit and our Selle Italia saddle. The pedals as well as the brakes are all a bit dirty but in perfect working order. So we're gonna clean them and give them a little service. These brake levers have the internal Shimano model number BL-M600. BL being in reference to the parts category, so in this case brake lever, and M600 is the model itself. Now what is interesting is that the BL-M600 was used on different types of brake levers. So there's also a Dior LX version, and it's not like they just printed different names on those. There are slight differences between these different variations. I think there's at least a third one, and I wasn't aware that on these DX levers here, this black plastic clip came off as well. So that's something to note, and obviously makes the cleaning a lot easier. In the past, you've seen me touch up components with black nail polish. Naturally, that also works with other colored parts. It's just a lot harder to get the color matching right, obviously. And that is exactly the reason why I took this slightly beat up looking pedal on a little walk. The problem with this tip is that even when you find a very nicely matching color, sometimes that color will change as the paint dries, and it typically becomes a little bit darker than it looks in the bottle. So that's something that you can obviously take into account as you pick out the color. But sometimes even if you do that, it just doesn't come out looking right. And that's why it's a good idea to try it on an area that is not super exposed, because then you can just abort the mission like I did and leave the rest as is. The brake pads on these V-brakes are quite worn, but there's still a bit of meat on them. So this being my bike, I'm just gonna mount them for now and replace them at a later point. Since I already found the ideal seat post height on this bike, I've marked the insertion level of the seat post before we switch out the seat post clamp. As we're introducing a new color to the build, I figured it might make sense to reduce colors that are already on the bike. And so instead of this golden skewer, I figured it might make sense to switch to a green one that blends in a little bit better with the overall build and the frame. And that takes us to a very crucial step in every bike build, which is setting up your bike in your living room and looking at it. Really take your time with this step. Don't rush it. And, make sure to assess your bike from every angle, which is what I did, and I noticed a few things. What I think works really well on this build is the distribution of red components. As you can see, they're almost spaced out with equal distances, and that just gives it a very balanced look. What I found myself struggling with a little bit is the contrasting colors against the frame. So the bright red against this racing green, classic looking paint, as well as the green skewers, even though they are very, very similar in color to the frame itself, and they're actually the exact same color to the rim decals in real life, even though they look different on camera. So I figured what might help us in this situation, actually not toast, but some black V-brakes to replace the red ones, because I figured they might blend in nicer on the frame. And surely they do tone the whole thing down. It looks less wild, but at the same time I couldn't shake the feeling that I was chickening out if I wasn't using the red brakes. And when it comes to the skewer, I thought a black one might help. And I remembered that I had this black safety lock skewer, which is pretty big, but I don't know about you, it kind of reminds me of a center lock wheel nut on a race car. And you know, that's all the justification I need to feel like it's ideal for this build. Removing that last bit of gold on the end cap as well. And to make sure that nobody would misunderstand this as a Christmas themed build, I decided I needed to add another sticker. Just took me a few tries to find the best spot to place this on the bike. And with those last finishing touches out the way, we can finally look at version 3.0 of this build. Now at this stage, you're probably getting ready to comment down below how you would appreciate some ride footage of this bike. Well, let me just check what shoes I'm wearing today.